human rights stuff, right? It drives me around the bend, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I've seen a country change and go from one extreme to the other, and I think it's a bit like you were talking about on the banking side, where the banks were so irresponsible, and now they've gone from one extreme to the other. Don't you think that some of the stuff on this human rights thing has gone from one extreme to the other?
I think we're trying to sort out some of these problems now. You know, we've for the first time on immigration, just to take immigration as an example, introduced a point system, a bit like Australia. So you can't come into the country unless you've got something to offer. If you've got something to offer and we need it, come into the country. If you don't come into the country. On crime, I think we've tightened up on sentences. I think there's a lot higher sentences. But if you take knife crime, for example, what I want to do, and I've been talking to large numbers of people about this, is create this mood in the country that knives are unacceptable. You shouldn't be walking the street with a knife. On knives, I want young people to all get the message that if you carry a knife, you're in more danger, you're not in less danger, and let's get knives off the street.
When you was at school, did you ever get the cane?
The belt, yes.
The belt. You got the belt.
The belts were actually manufactured in my constituency.
I got the cane, and I got to tell you, it didn't do me any harm. Okay, and I really was, I won't say use the word frightened, but definitely respectful of the teachers, respectful of the policeman, the bobby in the street. Look where we are now. But let's be honest. Come on, let's be honest. Kids in school now talk to their teachers like as, you know, second-class citizens.
You know, I think it is changing.
But what I would ask, if anything, if you can pull off in your period in office, is to take us back to those days where people were respectful, to get those old values back again. You know, to remember the days, go back in time. I know we should always be thinking about going forward, but I personally feel we're in not nice times at the moment in the way young people carry on talking to their teachers, the way that we're not allowed to do anything with them. The cane never did me any harm, as I'm sure the belt never did you any harm either. I'm not advocating it should come back, but I think you get my drift.
Yeah, and I come from a town, and I grew up in a town where these values were really important, that you respected people, you had ambition, your teachers actually were sort of made sure that you actually abided by the rules, and there was a lot of respect across the community with people helping each other. And I think that we've got to combine this with kids. We've got to make and encourage them to be more ambitious, to have more aspiration. When you do your road shows around the country, what you're really saying to these young people is if you've got a good idea, you know, then work at it and you'll see it through. But if you've got a bad idea, go back to the drawing board and see if you can get a good idea.
But a similar bunch of young people, you know, with all due respect, can see that if you go down to the local newsagent shop, run in there and pinch a few Mars bars and a couple of Coca-Colas and whack the proprietor over the head and run up the street, that the worst that's going to happen to you is nothing.
Well, I think it's a lot tougher than that now.
Well, I hope it is.
It is a lot tougher than
I'm,
you see, if someone's
pleading with you to make sure.
If someone's carrying a knife now, for example, they will be arrested and they will be charged, and they'll either end up with a sentence, or they'll be in this community payback, which is very tough now.
It's
Knife crime, gun crime, all these crimes, higher sentences. The sentences have gone up. People can now be kept in prison beyond the end of the sentence if they're a threat to the public. We have toughened up on sentencing. That's why there's so much more people in prison.
Let me put it this way. You know that young lady, Katie Price, formerly known as Jordan, right? I think she is an entrepreneur. No one realises. She's a very clever, very shrewd girl. I want to ask you something. Do you think she could get a job sitting in the reception in Abu Dhabi in the kind of attire that she walks around in?
No, at all.
No, they would sling her out, right? Okay?
Absolutely.
They would sling her out, okay? In this country here, we have to tolerate things sometimes where common sense doesn't prevail because of someone's apparel or something like that, or can't have a Christmas tree here and can't have a Christmas tree there. I mean, is that right? We've gone mad. We've gone mad.
Of course it's wrong, and people should have the celebration of Christmas, and nobody should interfere with that. But I think you're being more pessimistic about Britain than I am.
Well, I'd really think, I'd like you to sort something out, bring us back 20 years if you can, so that, you know, no, I know that sounds ridiculous, but bring us back. So, have we got a chance of arguing again?
You're right about respect. I don't think we should forget that lots of young people have got lots of ideas and lots of good sort of ambitions for the future, and we should encourage them to be successful.